Hello, my beautiful ladies. Today I want to talk about what I have learned about attraction. And maybe if you're in a relationship or you're in a marriage and you have that honeymoon period, but then it seems to fizzle out, what might be happening? And so the first thing that I want to share is that love and attraction, I found, is based on energy and vibration, not logic. I'm going to repeat that. Love and attraction is based on energy and vibration and not logic. So what does this mean? This means that you cannot talk your way, convince, share how great you are, how smart, all these qualifications that you might have, maybe everything you have on your resume. You can't talk them into loving you. So romantic relationships don't work that way. The more actions, the more we're trying to do and convince, the more they're going to run away. So romantic relationships are not the same as other relationships. I have found out, sometimes beating my head up against the wall and learning the hard way. So romantic relationships aren't the same as other relationships, such as relationships that you might have at work, you have at school, family, siblings. So a lot of times in those relationships, work, school, family, those tend to be more about giving and taking, more transactional, but romantic relationships work completely differently. So the second thing I want to talk about is, what is energy? Energy and vibration is how the universe hears us. It's how God hears us. It's also how men hear us. So we might be saying one thing, but if our energy and vibration is saying the complete opposite, men are going to pick up on that. They're going to pick up on those signals and they're going to be confused. So let's see, and I have my notes here. So men typically won't hear the words that we say. They're actually going to be listening to our energy and vibration. So this is something that's really important, I found, because a lot of times in my relationship, I would say that, well, I told him, or I said it, or I said this was the thing I wanted, but if my energy and vibration was saying the opposite, I could tell he could pick up on it. Now, he didn't know necessarily what to do about it, but he could pick up on it. And so they're not going to be listening to what we say. They're going to be listening to our energy and vibration. And this is super important. So feminine energy is the being energy. It's about you being in your being. It's about flow. It's about being present in the moment. And if you haven't learned how to do that, I would highly recommend it. It's about receiving. It's about leaning back. Masculine energy is doing. It's about giving. It's about moving forward, and it's outcome based. So as women, we've been taught in school and in work to live in our masculine. So a lot of times, guys, I did not learn this from my mother, from my grandmother, and I was born in the 80s, so I feel like I've talked to a lot of women. Maybe it's different for the younger generation, but we really were raised in our culture to be more in our masculine energy. And I feel like I did not have a lot of feminine energy role models and healthy feminine energy role models. women who were able to not be in their wounded feminine, but healed feminine, women who, were taking care of themselves, maybe healthy finances, healthy relationships, maybe healthy work and careers. So not having, that fulfilled range. And so, yeah, I had a lot of female role models that showed me how to be in their masculine. And there are reasons behind this. I've mentioned this in some of my other videos, and I may talk on it future, but I'm going to stick to the topic for this video. So as women, we've been taught in school and in work to live in our masculine. And this is great. It's great that we can tap into our masculine when we need to. This allows us to have successful businesses, successful careers. It allows us to be great leaders, role models, able to have the ability just to do amazing things in the world, right? It's the doing energy. But masculine energy, men are going to be repelled by masculine energy. I'm going to say this again. Being able to tap into our masculine energy is great, but masculine energy men, it is repelling for them to be in a relationship with masculine energy. If you are looking for, and typically, even if it's same sex, a masculine energy person and a feminine energy person. So even in gay relationships, there are great examples. Typically, if you look at a healthy relationship that's same sex, and they may even be a better role model for this than we are, in heterosexual relationships. But typically for long-term relationships, you can see someone that holds the masculine energy, their haircut, the way they dress, and there's a person that's more in their feminine energy. And I challenged this at the beginning when I first heard this, but the more and more I observed, the more it was, I couldn't deny that they are creating polarity even in their relationships. And this is how vital it is for attraction, not 50-50. So for school and work and what we learned about equality and things like that, men have been brought up in that culture as well. So they're hearing the messages about equality and all these things. So when it comes to a relationship and attraction, he gets confused and we're confused. I feel like we're all walking around confused because what works in school and work doesn't necessarily work for romantic relationships. And this can actually repel healthy men. So, and you can't talk yourself or convince your way into being loved. And I've seen this, I've personally experienced this. I'm guilty of it. If I can just show him how great I am, right? Then he's going to fall more in love with me. And sometimes this can be in a relationship where the guy, where the woman starts to say, what's going on? Why isn't he stepping up? How come we don't go on dates more? How come he's not planning things? And honestly, a lot of times he doesn't have an answer for you because he doesn't even know what's going on. It's the energy and vibration that we're bringing. And actually having these talks, that actually repels him even more. And so by us bringing up and trying to talk about the relationship, he actually gets repelled because that is chasing energy. That's masculine energy when we come up and we want to have a talk. So when we want to start having these talks, this is where we want to control the situation. We want to control the relationship. We try to control the situation. This is where we're wanting to move forward, where we're leaning in. We're leaning into our relationship and we're actually repelling him even more. He's supposed to be the one doing the leading. You're supposed to be the leader of your life, and he is supposed to be the leader of the relationship. You could be the most attractive woman. You could dress very feminine. But if your energy and vibration is very masculine, controlling, moving forward, leaning in, this will repel him. Whereas you, on the flip side, you could dress very masculine. But if your energy is more leaning back and letting him lead and receiving, he is actually, so you're leaning back, he's actually going to come more to you, but he needs that space to do it. And a lot of times we don't give them the space because we don't even know what's going on. And we're trying to figure out what's going on. I went through this, oh my gosh, I remember there was this period in my marriage where, I felt like I went to university, I got the education, I got the career, I was making money, but something felt like it was missing in the relationship and I couldn't figure out what it was. I'm like, why is this not working? And so, of course, like many of us, I was diving into personal development books and all these things. And I remember my husband being like, why are all these women onto personal development and, going after all these things? And I'm like, because we're trying to figure out, we feel like we have done everything that we were told we were supposed to do, but it's something still not working. And we want to know why. So number 3, men fall in love by chasing and giving to us. Men fall in love by chasing and giving to their woman. So a lot of times we try to love men in the way that we want to receive love. But this is not how men receive love. So, men at the beginning, what do? They pursue us, they call us, they take us on dates, they pay for us, they plan trips, they plan fun things to do. They talk about how we can progress in the relationship maybe, and bringing that up if he is ready to be in a committed relationship. Sometimes it can be the perfect person, but it's not the right time and they're not ready. So when they're ready, typically they are motivated because they know you may be possibly dating somebody else. So early on in the relationship, they are about talking about how they can progress in the relationship. And that's how we receive. So when men are doing these things, that's how we are receiving. But if we're starting to not receive that, unconsciously, sometimes we can switch into that mode where when we don't get this, we start doing things in the relationship. We start calling him or texting him. We start planning dates. We bring up, let's have a talk about the relationship. And this ends up repelling him even more. And that is not how he receives love. So it's almost like another man trying to love on him when we are doing these things. So I'm going to say that again. It's when we start pursuing and start trying to control the relationship, it's almost like another man is trying to love on him. And yeah, this completely repels him and he withdraws. And it's a big mistake that sometimes we subconsciously don't even know what we're doing because all of a sudden, maybe there isn't that action and that doing. And so we step in and try to do that in the relationship. If we start showing up in the relationship or marriage, looking for that 50-50, splitting the finances, work, you cook for him, you clean for him, you plan dates, you initiate dates, he is losing attraction. for you. Not giving him the opportunity to chase you or pursue you has him losing attraction. So a lot of times women will think, well, if I start bringing in the money, if I cook for him, if I clean for, if I cook for you, if I clean for you, if I plan dates, I will do everything. Just love me. Do you see how this can come across as very needy and low vibration? So feminine energy is all about receiving. It is about, I am worthy. I'm worthy of love. I'm worthy of affection, of passion, of a man pursuing me, chasing me, giving to me without needing to do anything. I am worthy of all of this just because of who I am and just by being me. He does not need anything from you. He doesn't need you to do anything. So another way of looking at this is equality and logic doesn't work in relationships. And sometimes I can think, well, I just want it to be fair. If I make money and he makes money, but attraction isn't something you can pay your way into. You can't talk your way into someone loving you. You can't convince. It's not logic. And it doesn't work. So the masculine is about giving. It's about taking care of his woman. It's about leading in the relationship. It's about doing. So if you take this away from him, he won't even know what happened and why he is falling out of love with you. And I experienced this in my relationship. He will fall out of love with you. It might be a roommate situation or a friendship situation, but you're not going to get that heated passion by trying to talk, convince. You do something. If he does something, then you do something. This is about him giving and you receiving, and receiving joyfully. So logic just doesn't work. Let him give. Your job in the relationship is to receive. And this is instinctual. So a lot of times this is at a subconscious level, it's instinctual. It's his instincts. So let's say, for example, your boyfriend or your hubby takes you out on a date. A lot of times early on when I didn't know this, my instinct was, okay, so he's done something for me, now transactional. Now let me do something for him. So now let me cook something for him, or maybe let me buy him a gift. And he actually doesn't need that from me. All he's looking for is for me to receive joyfully, for me to say thank you, for me to say thank you for this date. It was amazing. Thank you for planning such a wonderful evening. So you may now be asking, okay, all of this is great. Thanks for the information. But now how do I transition from having equality in the world and into having that feminine energy in my relationship? So this is the second part. How can I have this in modern day relationships? How do I build up to making that switch and that transition? So some people might say, hey, look, Carrie, I'm in a 50-50 relationship and it's working great. And that's wonderful. So if it's working for you, keep doing what's working for you. I've talked to many women who have shared that they now feel like, somehow it was heated and passionate and they had the attraction at the beginning of their relationship, but now it's more of a friendship or a roommate situation. So many of us now seem to have more of a working relationship, right? Like, okay, you do XYZ and I'm going to do XYZ, and there's nothing left over or in between or along the way. So having a working relationship versus that passion and romance and being obsessed with you and being devoted to us. this can trigger a lot of things. So letting him lead, this doesn't mean you being a doormat. Men actually don't want to be with someone who's a doormat. Being with someone who's a doormat is not safe because you can't trust that they're able to hold their own boundaries with you or with other people. And so it's all about letting him do what is more natural to him, and that is giving and being in his giving. So what do we want? We're looking for attraction. So those of us who, are coming to this channel and, interested in what are some other things that are out there like feminine energy, we're wanting that attraction. So let's say that you are in a situation where you're in a relationship or you're married, you're working 9 to 5, but you've fallen into more that friendship zone. A lot of times you'll say, okay, hey babe, I'm your equal, everything's fair. I'm contributing 50-50, you're contributing 50-50. Again, that's friendship. That's a roommate. That's not romance. So it's really important when you walk through the door, or let's say you walk into the restaurant, let him lead. You need to turn off that, you need to learn how to turn off equality, how to turn off that masculine energy side of yourself. And your job is just to be present and be in the moment. What might this look like? So you let him plan the dates. You let him plan the vacations or the trips. He leads. He pays for everything, and especially for the basics. So if you're working, he's contributing more to the household than you do. This is really important. This taps into their instinctual desire to provide and protect. And I know so many people, and I thought this too, oh, that's traditional, oh, that's primitive, oh, that's back in the day. But guys, I've learned, and I argued this, but I have learned over time and trying different things and experimenting, because yes, I have a psychology background. So I have even put on different experiments in my own relationship to see how things work and play out. So it is instinctual that deep down, men want to protect and provide. So it's important to let the man contribute more to the household than you do. So maybe, maybe he's not contributing everything, but he's contributing more to the basics, more to those Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So what might this look like? So men, and you have to understand, when you start to tap into this, men have been conditioned as well, guys. They've been conditioned and sometimes will fight you. Because to be honest, 50-50 is more convenient for them. They've had the same conditioning in school and at work. They've had the same programming as you have of equality and that, fairness. And so, yeah, 50-50 is more convenient for him. But what they don't realize is it doesn't give them meaning. It doesn't give them fulfillment. And I will tell you, back when I was trying to do 50-50, my husband and I's relationship has grown so much because I have let that go more. And I have let him take more of that role, and I have received joyfully. And I'm going to talk about where this can be a shadow and this can flip on you. So we also have to watch out for the other side. So the feeling of giving and providing, they get this when they pay for more of the household expenses. So some men are conscious of this. Some men do realize their instinctual need and are tapped into the meaning and the fulfillment they get out of providing and protecting. Some high value men know this, but some men don't even know this, ladies. They are completely unaware anymore because of what we have been teaching in school and work. And again, I'm not saying that that shouldn't happen. That does work in business and friendships and family situations, but it doesn't work in romantic relationships because of this programming. So what they say they want, it actually brings down their attraction. It actually brings down the attraction from their point, from their perspective, from their experience. And they don't even know why, but all of a sudden they are unhappy. They don't even know why. They become insecure. They withdraw. They may start playing video games all day, and they don't even know why they're doing this. But it's because their natural instinct is to provide for you and to provide for their woman and family and to take care of us. And now this is being taken away from them. And this really eats at their soul. It eats at their manhood, and they don't even know why. So it's very important that the masculine pays for those human basics in the relationship. So a married situation might be, you also work. Some of your money, so, most of his money is going to the household pieces, and your money could be used for upgrades in your lifestyle. Maybe it could be you use it for an upgraded trip. So he's able to provide the trip, but maybe your money does that extra upgrade, right? And that extra upgraded experience. Maybe he's able to pay for the home and the mortgage, and your money contributes to that upgrade to the home that maybe you have been desiring. So the important thing is that he feels like he can truly provide everything, and he experiences you having confidence that he's got you and that he can provide everything, and you can use your money to fill in. But you give him the joy for paying for most of the expenses. You give him the joy of paying for everything. And at the end of the day, they really want to. They really want to take care of you and to feel like they're taking care of you, and for you to make them feel like, wow, she really feels taken care of, right? And they can feel that in our energy and our vibration, not in the words we say, but our energy and vibration. So high value men want to pay. And they don't even realize it sometimes because they're so used to going half and half with you, or they're so used to women fighting to go half and half on the date and things like that. But let him plan. Let him lead. And your job is to joyfully accept. You say thank you. And you say thank you and a place from where you're happy, where you're open. Thank you. You don't say thank you, but I prefer that we had done something else. That's where he feels the energy. And if you want something different, there is a way to bring it up in a feminine way. And I'm going to do another video on how to do that. But the other part of this is you trust his decisions and his judgment. Hopefully you have chosen to be in a relationship or chosen to be in a marriage with someone that you feel like you can trust, someone that you feel like has your best interest at heart. And one good way to do this is to go back to the beginning of when you guys first met. And how did he treat you? Did you feel like he had your best interest in mind? that's something that's really important and almost a barometer, because sometimes further on into the relationship, this can get thrown off track for several reasons. So if you're not married yet, one thing that's going to be really important is to choose your partner wisely. And someone that you can trust, someone that you can look up to, and someone that you admire. But sometimes in relationships over time, it could start off this way, and then all of a sudden something switches and changes off, and we think, oh my gosh, did we make the wrong decision? But one thing you're going to want to look at is sometimes then somehow fear takes over, and we start controlling, we start nagging him, we start criticizing their decisions. And then slowly the man withdraws. And who wants to be in a situation where, he's supposed to be the one leading and managing, but every time he does this, you criticize him. And, he feels like he's trying to fill this role, but every time he does it, he gets criticized for it. So who wants to be in that situation? So again, this is where he can start to withdraw, and he can even go into his feminine energy because they're confused, because now all of a sudden you've stepped into that role, and, or maybe he feels like he's stepped into that role. You've criticized him, and every time he tries to do it, you tell him he's wrong and he didn't do it the right way, or you wish he would have done something different. So then he withdraws, and then all of a sudden he gets in the feminine energy role in the relationship. And now you have put yourself in the masculine energy role without even realizing it. So now you're confused and frustrated, and he's confused. So they do want to do things for us, ladies. They really do. They want to provide for us. But they feel like every time they try to do it, and if every time they try to do it, they feel like they can never make us happy because they're constantly getting criticized. So sometimes we do this without even realizing it. I've done this. He's tried to do something, and maybe he's done 2 to 3 things great, but I noticed that one thing that he could have done better. Or why didn't he think of this one extra thing? So, and then that just completely, they withdraw and they step back, and they're like, fine, I don't even know why I'm trying, because it seems like I'm never going to get it right. So why even try? So this is where that withdrawing, and, why is he not planning dates? Why is he not initiating? Why these things start to happen. So, he can be in a situation where he does try to lead and plan a date, but then maybe he feels like we're not so excited about it. We're not grateful. We're not thanking him. We're not accepting of it. We're not receiving. And so, yes, sometimes maybe they plan something that maybe we would have preferred something else, but there are other ways to communicate what you want. And like I said, I will talk about that later in another video because it is important. And so I'll kind of put a little plug. I call it, if you speak French, make sure you learn how to speak Spanish. So I personally consider feminine energy, French language, it's the luxury energy, it's the high vibration energy. Spanish is more the masculine language. So the feminine energy is the French language, and the masculine energy and the way to communicate is the Spanish language. And so a lot of times when I run into women who are saying that they're struggling with their relationship, I always ask them, have you learned how to speak Spanish? And so we'll talk about that later, because I don't mean Spanish. I mean, have you learned how to communicate in masculine energy? Again, bringing up, maybe he has tried to plan a date, but we're not so excited about it. He can tell that, we really wish we would have done something else, or, you're just not really into it. They can feel that. So sometimes what also can happen is that sometimes we can have wounded energy. And maybe something's happened, maybe in our childhood. These are called triggers. These are little things that if our man or a situation triggers that, all of a sudden as a feminine woman, we can put on a masculine mask. Mina Irfan talks about this, the universe guru. She says that Tony Robbins talks about this as well. So it's a situation where maybe your parents always fought about money, or maybe you felt like as a child there wasn't enough money, or your dad or someone, another family member, the guy cheated on the woman, or your dad cheated on your mom. Any sort of negative things that you've picked up on about men or money or relationships, those little triggers that you've picked up on that can trigger your own relationship. And so like maybe out of the blue, your husband says a phrase that you heard your parents say a lot when they were in a fight. And now all of a sudden you're, you don't feel safe in the relationship. And literally your husband or your partner is a good person. They've just triggered something from your past, a wound, that now all of a sudden you've armored up and you have that masculine mask on. And now, because you were once triggered by it, so it's all being brought up again. So let's say that your husband says something or does something, or even a situation that similar seems to pop up that was bad in your childhood. But it triggers that feeling of, oh my God, maybe we don't have enough money, or you don't feel safe in the relationship. And then all of a sudden, because of your past, you've put on a masculine mask. Now all of a sudden, you're like, okay, now I don't feel safe. So because I don't feel safe, I will provide this in the relationship. You start to control. You say, how come you don't plan dates? How come you don't have money for this? So all this is perceived as very masculine energy to the man. You armoring up and stepping in. So when we do this, he starts to withdraw because he doesn't feel romantic energy towards us. And now you have that masculine energy. So remember, he has masculine energy himself. That's where you'll notice your man maybe not speaking to you so much. Maybe he comes home and he immediately gets on his phone, or he goes to play video games. He interacts with the children more than he interacts with you. And so by you've put on more of your masculine energy, and all of a sudden you feel like you're losing control in the relationship. You feel like you're losing his affection. You're losing his attention. And all of a sudden, he goes into and withdraws and you lean in, and it becomes this vicious cycle. So now this has put you even more in your masculine energy. And all of a sudden you feel like you're losing control in the relationship. You're losing his affection. You're losing his attention. And it becomes this vicious cycle. And now all of a sudden you're being triggered. And again, this puts you into your masculine energy. This has you put your masculine energy mask on. Just something for us to be aware of under the surface, where, maybe we had that passion and we had that excitement at the beginning, but then we're now losing that, further into the relationship. These wounds or childhood triggers could be coming up, and you could be self-sabotaging the relationship because of things that happened in my past, not because of something that's actually happened. Like looking at my relationship over the past year, maybe I'm completely safe in the relationship, but because my husband says that one thing or does that one thing that I have a negative association and thoughts about men or money or relationships. Now all of a sudden I was, in a completely safe situation, but now all of a sudden I'm not feeling safe. So it's always helpful to be aware and understand and have the knowledge of what might be happening under the surface, so to speak. And so that we can start to shift from, our thoughts and our knowledge into our body and into our energy and vibration, because that is what is going to bring about attraction, ladies. So I hope this was helpful. Again, I wish that I had learned this from, my mother, my grandmother. I wish we learned more about this in our culture. And I think we did used to know this, but it has been lost because we as women have been on that journey of, feminism. And I think it's healthy, to be able to choose to work if we want to work, be able to earn our own income. And all of these things help us feel safe. And I think when we didn't have these things, there were certain situations and certain relationships where the power dynamic was off and our mothers and ancestors maybe didn't feel safe. And so now, good for us, and thank you so much. Now we have, been able to tap more into both our masculine energy and our feminine energy and have that equality and fairness in school and in work. But now I feel like in a lot of relationships, at least that I'm seeing, whether it's on YouTube or, family and friends or friends, family friends that I'm seeing, we've got the productivity down and efficiency in our culture, but I feel like we've lost the wisdom of relationships. And so I think there are elements of, looking back at how we're naturally wired and asking, does this ring true? And this even took me about a year of observing and trying things and leaning back while also learning to communicate what my desires were in a feminine way, because otherwise that does become doormat behavior. And I am completely against doormat behavior. And that is not healed feminine energy. That is wounded feminine energy. So anyway, I hope this was helpful. I'll definitely be talking more about this, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.